Cheating, corruption, scandals. It's all happening on the football field. What if I told you that some of the most thrilling matches you've ever watched were scripted from the start?
What?
Or that entire championships have been called into question because of match fixing? Yes, behind the passion, the glory, the millions of fans lies a dark undercurrent. In this video, I'll expose some of the biggest rigged games in football history, and trust me, you won't believe what went on behind the scenes. Okay, let's start with a story that had everyone talking: Keylor Navas and the Costa Rican national team. Now, if you're not familiar with Navas, he's not just any goalkeeper, he's a three-time Champions League winner with Real Madrid and a national hero for Costa Rica.
Not bad, not bad.
After an incredible run at the 2014 World Cup, where Costa Rica reached the quarterfinals, shout out to Navas for some insane saves, things started to go south. Enter Jorge Luis Pinto, the coach who had led them to that historic performance. You'd think after such success he'd be a beloved figure, right? Wrong! The relationship between Pinto and his players soured faster than milk left out in the sun.
Why?
In 2015, Pinto's contract had a little clause that would make any player raise an eyebrow. If he lost 3 consecutive games, he could be fired. Now imagine being in that locker room. What would you do? Well, according to former Costa Rican Football Federation president Eduardo Lee, Navas and his teammates decided to take matters into their own hands. They allegedly threatened to lose games on purpose if Pinto didn't get the boot.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Lee testified that during a meeting with Navas, Brian Ruiz, another star player, and Celso Borges, they discussed this very clause. Navas supposedly said something along the lines of, "Let's just lose all 3 games." But here's where it gets even juicier. The players wanted Pinto gone. They felt disrespected by his coaching style and were ready to risk their national pride to get him fired. So what did they do? They went ahead and literally lost 3 matches in a row on purpose. When these allegations surfaced, fans were furious. How could their stars betray them like this? In court proceedings that followed, Navas and his teammates denied ever threatening to lose games intentionally. They argued that they've always been professional footballers with honor and prestige to uphold. But can you blame fans for feeling betrayed? I mean, when you're wearing your national colors and cheering passionately for your team, only to find out they might be throwing matches for personal gain, that stings. And just when you thought this saga was over, Navas found himself involved in even more controversy recently, with accusations from a former employee regarding labor practices. Seriously, it feels like every time we turn around, there's another layer to this guy's story. Anyway, let's talk about some off-pitch shenanigans. Yes, the World Cup 2022. The tournament held in Qatar was supposed to be a celebration of football, but it quickly turned into a hotbed of conspiracy theories and allegations. One of the most talked about incidents was the notion that matches were rigged to favor Argentina and Messi. Now, I'm not saying Messi needed any help. He's a magician on the ball. But when Qatari officials hinted that Argentina wouldn't have won if the tournament had been held elsewhere, eyebrows were raised faster than a referee's card after a foul. The conspiracy theories really took off after some questionable refereeing decisions during key matches. Take the quarterfinal against the Netherlands, for example. The officiating was so controversial and fans were left scratching their heads over some dubious calls. Of course, social media did the rest with memes and theories. Some fans even suggested that FIFA had rigged the tournament so Messi could finally lift that elusive trophy. You could practically hear the collective gasp from fans around the world as they debated whether this was all part of a grand conspiracy. Interestingly, many believe that FIFA has been playing favorites for years now. Remember when they awarded Qatar the World Cup? That decision came with its fair share of controversy, given Qatar's human rights record and questionable treatment of migrant workers. So when people started connecting the dots between FIFA's past decisions and Argentina's success in 2022, it wasn't surprising. But here's my take. I personally don't believe the World Cup was rigged, and I'm very happy that Messi won it. But honestly, football is unpredictable, just like my ex. Okay, next we need to talk about betting scandals because we've seen some serious drama unfold recently with Ivan Toney and Sandro Tonali getting caught up in betting controversies. Let's start with the Brentford striker, Toney, who was banned for 8 months in May 2023. He was found guilty of placing bets on matches, including some involving his own team. Can you imagine being a fan watching your star player potentially throw games for personal gain? Sandro Tonali, another young star, found himself in hot water for allegedly betting on matches while playing for AC Milan. The Italian midfielder faced scrutiny not just from fans, but also from authorities who took these allegations seriously. These recent controversies have sparked debates about whether players should be allowed to bet on any sports at all. I think it creates conflicts of interest and opens the door for match fixing, so they should be banned from betting altogether. Please don't tell me it's just part of modern sports culture. What makes this even more concerning is how easy it is for players to manipulate outcomes if they are involved in betting activities, whether directly or indirectly. Imagine Mbappe deliberately getting booked because someone placed a bet on him receiving a yellow card. That sounds less like football and more like a game of high-stakes poker. Alright, moving on to Italy for one of football's most infamous scandals, Calciopoli. If you thought World Cup controversies were wild, well, let me tell you, this one is like an Italian opera filled with drama, betrayal, and more plot twists than a season finale. Calciopoli emerged in 2006 when it was revealed that several top clubs in Serie A were involved in match fixing. At the center of this storm was Juventus's sporting director Luciano Moggi. Think of him as the puppet master pulling all the strings behind the scenes. Moggi had these connections everywhere. He knew referees, club officials, and even journalists who would help him shape outcomes to benefit Juventus. The scandal first came to light due to wiretaps revealing conversations between Moggi and various refereeing authorities. As investigations unfolded, it became clear that this wasn't just about Juventus. Clubs like AC Milan, Fiorentina, Lazio, and others were implicated too. The Italian Football Federation had no choice but to act when they realized how deep this rabbit hole went. On July 4, 2006, just days after Italy won their 4th World Cup, the FIGC announced severe penalties for those involved. Juventus got hit hardest. They were relegated to Serie B and stripped of their titles from 2005 and 2006. Other clubs faced point deductions as well, but none suffered quite like Juve did. While Moggi faced bans and penalties for his actions, many fans still defend him today. Some argue that everyone else was doing it too. They just didn't get caught. Others believe Moggi was unfairly targeted because he was simply too good at playing the game. It made me think about how much trust we place in these institutions. Do you remember how fans reacted back then? Were you one of those shouting "fix" from your living room couch? Share your memories below. Okay, staying with the World Cup theme, let's revisit some allegations from the same year, 2006. There were whispers about match fixing surrounding several games during the tournament itself. The refereeing decisions were really suspicious. Remember that infamous match between Portugal and the Netherlands in the round of 16? Referee Valentin Ivanov made history, not for his skill, but for issuing a record number of cards. 4 reds and 16 yellows. It was like he was handing out participation trophies for bad behavior. FIFA president Sepp Blatter even chimed in, saying Ivanov was not at the same level as the participants. Ouch! That's like your boss telling you in front of everyone that you need to step up your game. The fallout from these controversial calls led to widespread speculation about whether the referees were influenced or if there was some underlying corruption. There was another infamous incident involving Italy's own Gianluca Zambrotta, who received a yellow card for what many deemed a questionable foul. Oh man. The media had a field day with this, claiming that certain teams were getting preferential treatment while others were left to fend for themselves. Now let's hop over to Brazil in 2010, where another scandal rocked the football world, this time involving match-fixing allegations in their top leagues. The allegations surfaced that several players from various clubs were involved in match-fixing schemes, with some big names caught up in the chaos. It revealed that players were bribed to manipulate match outcomes. Among those implicated were players like Kevin Lamonaco from Red Bull Bragantino, Moraes from Juventude, and Nicolas Farias from Novo Hamburgo. These guys were the main players in their respective teams. Farias, for instance, was found guilty of deliberately committing a foul in the penalty area after assuring a bet that he would do exactly that. Can you believe it? It's like saying, hey, I'll make sure you win your bet by giving away a penalty. That's not just bad sportsmanship, it's downright scandalous. The Brazilian Football Confederation took these allegations seriously and launched a full-on investigation. As it progressed, more names came to light. Players like Diego Porfirio and Nino Paraiba became witnesses after reaching agreements with authorities. I think the whole situation escalated dramatically. Players faced suspensions and bans as the Brazilian football authorities scrambled to clean up the mess. For instance, Moraes received a 760-day ban plus fines, while Gabriel Tota was banned permanently from football. Talk about a career killer. Clubs also took action against those implicated. Atlético Paranense fired Brian Garcia and Pedrinho after their names appeared in spreadsheets linked to criminal organizations involved in these shady dealings. I think it's worth talking about the broader implications of this scandal. Brazilian football has always been synonymous with flair and passion. The samba style on the pitch is legendary, but when scandals like this emerge, they cast a long shadow over everything. Fans start to wonder, can we really trust what we're seeing? Are we cheering for genuine talent, or just actors playing their parts in a rigged show? This scandal is symptomatic of a larger issue within football, where financial pressures can lead players down dark paths. Lower-income players often find themselves vulnerable to temptations that threaten their careers and reputations. It's just heartbreaking to think that some might choose quick cash over long-term success and integrity. And that's a wrap. Football is a beautiful game, but sometimes things aren't as fair as they seem. Have you ever suspected a match was rigged? Let me know in the comments which moment shocked you the most. And if you want to see a part 2, drop your ideas below. I'll feature the best ones in the next video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.